Would you buy this? This is the 2026 Toyota bZ4X, and honestly, Toyota finally made it look like it belongs in the future. Look at the front. This hammerhead design gives the car a much sharper face, and that light bar across the front makes it feel wider, cleaner, and more premium. And from this angle, you can really see how the body lines flow. It's not trying too hard, but it still looks different enough to make people turn their heads. Especially in this color. It's giving quiet luxury. I know, it's still a Toyota, but this one has presence. Walking around the side, the shape is very SUV, but still aerodynamic. The wheels, the stance, the clean surfaces, everything feels more refined. And yes, no fake look-at-me drama everywhere. Thank you, Toyota. The rear keeps the same futuristic vibe, with a wide, planted look. Now let's check the trunk, because design is nice, but can it actually live with you? Okay, first impression. The opening is wide, the loading height feels practical, and the space is actually very usable. You get a clean, flat floor, so bags, groceries, camera gear, or even a weekend trip setup can fit without playing luggage Tetris. And trust me, I have suffered with small EV trunks before. This one feels more family-friendly. The materials back here are simple, but solid. Nothing too dramatic, nothing too luxury, but it feels durable, which is exactly what you want in a daily electric SUV. Also, the two-level floor is useful. You can keep the charging cable underneath, hide small items, or make the trunk deeper when you need extra height. Finally, an EV trunk that doesn't feel like an afterthought. So yeah, now let's move to the driver's seat, because this is where the car either feels special or just normal. First thing you notice is the space. The cabin feels open, the dashboard is slimmer, and Toyota lowered the center console, so it doesn't feel like everything is pushed into your knees. The driving position is actually really comfortable. You sit high enough to feel like you're in an SUV, but not too high where it feels like a van. And visibility? Pretty good. Now let's talk materials. Toyota didn't go crazy luxury here, but everything feels clean, soft where it needs to be, and very practical. You get this modern dashboard layout, nice textures, and a cabin that feels more premium than the previous bZ4X. Finally, Toyota said, okay, let's make the inside match the electric future. The steering wheel is simple, but useful. You have the buttons for cruise control, driver assistance, audio, phone, and the digital display. Nothing feels too complicated, and that's actually a good thing. But wait, what are these behind the steering wheel? Because yes, I know, it's an EV. It doesn't have normal gears. These are not really gear shifters, they're paddle controls for regenerative braking. So when you pull them, you can adjust how much the car slows down when you lift your foot from the accelerator. Basically, it gives you more control, saves energy back into the battery, and makes driving smoother in the city. Now, the biggest upgrade is the middle screen. The old bZ4X had a 12.3-inch screen, but this 2026 model gets a bigger 14-inch display. And honestly, it makes a difference. It looks cleaner, more modern, easier to read, and the whole dashboard feels more expensive because of it. This is the upgrade the old one really needed. So from the driver's seat, the 2026 bZ4X feels more spacious, more digital, and way more serious than before. So now, we're finally driving the 2026 Toyota bZ4X. And this is where I wanted to know one thing. Did Toyota just update the design? Or did they actually make the driving experience better? First impression? It feels smooth, very smooth. The acceleration is not crazy aggressive like some electric cars, but it's instant, quiet, and very controlled. When you press the pedal, the car moves in a clean way. No drama, no delay, no engine noise. Just that electric push. And honestly, for a family SUV, that's exactly what you want. You don't need the car to scare your passengers every time you touch the accelerator, especially if your mom is sitting next to you. The steering feels light, easy, and relaxed. In the city, this makes the car very simple to drive. Parking, turning, changing lanes, everything feels effortless. But on the road, it still feels stable. The car doesn't feel tiny, but it also doesn't feel heavy in an annoying way. It feels planted. And because this is an EV, the cabin is quiet. You hear less vibration, less engine sound, and more of the road around you. Toyota also improved noise and vibration control in this generation, and you can feel that the cabin is more refined than before. Now let's talk battery. Depending on the market and version, the 2026 bZ4X comes with two battery options. The smaller one is around 57.7 kilowatt hours, and the bigger one is around 73.1 kilowatt hours. In Europe, Toyota says the best version can drive up to 569 kilometers on a full charge. That's around 354 miles. In the US version, which is now called Toyota bZ, Toyota says the range can go up to 314 miles, or around 505 kilometers. And that is a big improvement compared to the previous version. The older bZ4X had a reputation for being good, but not amazing when it came to range and charging. It was reliable, yes. Comfortable, yes. But compared to Tesla, Hyundai, Kia, and Volkswagen, it felt like Toyota was playing it a little too safe. Like Toyota entered the EV party, but arrived wearing a seatbelt and carrying a checklist. But now, this 2026 version feels like Toyota actually listened. The range is better, the power is better, the screen is better, and the charging is better. For charging, Toyota says DC fast charging from 10 to 80% takes around 28 to 30 minutes, depending on the market and conditions. And that's the number most EV owners actually care about. Because nobody on a road trip wants to wait from 0 to 100. Most of the time, you stop, charge to 80%, get coffee, check your phone, and go. At home, the car also supports AC charging. Some versions get an 11 kilowatt onboard charger, and in Europe, higher grades can get a 22 kilowatt onboard charger. So if you charge overnight or while you're working, this car can easily fit into a normal routine. Now, is it the fastest charging EV in the world? No. Let's be honest. Cars like the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Kia EV6 can charge faster, around 10 to 80% in about 18 minutes when connected to a very powerful charger. So if your whole personality is, I need the fastest charging speed, Toyota is not winning that fight. But Toyota is doing something different. It's not trying to be the most futuristic EV, it's trying to be the EV that normal families can trust. And that is where Toyota is strong. Because Toyota customers don't wake up saying, I want software drama today. They want a car that starts every morning, a car that feels safe, a car that doesn't confuse them with too many menus, a car that can take the kids to school, go to work, do groceries, visit family, and still feel comfortable on a longer trip. That's the personality of this car. It's not the wildest EV, it's not the sportiest EV. It's not trying to be a spaceship. It's a calm, practical, electric SUV. And for many people, that's actually more important. Compared with Tesla Model Y, the Toyota feels more traditional inside. You still get buttons, easier controls, and a layout that feels familiar. Tesla is still stronger when it comes to software, charging network, and that clean tech feeling. But Toyota feels easier for people who don't want everything controlled from one screen. Compared with Hyundai Ioniq 5 or Kia EV6, the Toyota may not charge as fast, and the design is not as bold. But the bZ4X feels more conservative, more simple, and more Toyota. And I don't mean that in a bad way. For families, that matters. You get good visibility, a comfortable cabin, enough space, Toyota safety sense, available all-wheel drive, and an EV driving experience that feels calm rather than stressful. If you live somewhere with rain, snow, or bad roads, the AWD version is also interesting. Toyota improved the power, and in some markets, the AWD version now has much stronger performance than before. So when you press the pedal, especially in the stronger versions, this thing actually moves. Not sports car crazy, but quick enough to surprise you. And yes, I know, nobody buys a Toyota bZ4X to race people at traffic lights. But it's nice to know the power is there. The regenerative braking is also useful. You can adjust how much the car slows down when you lift your foot from the accelerator. In city driving, this makes the car feel smoother, and it helps recover energy back into the battery. Small detail, but you feel it every day. Now, the biggest difference from the previous version is that this car feels more complete. The older bZ4X felt like Toyota's first serious step into the EV SUV world. This one feels more confident, more polished, more competitive. Better range, better charging, better screen, better power, better cabin feel. Finally. And that's what makes this car interesting. Because Toyota doesn't need to copy Tesla. It doesn't need to copy Hyundai. It doesn't need to become a luxury brand. Toyota just needs to make an electric SUV that feels safe, efficient, comfortable, and easy to live with. And with the 2026 bZ4X, they're getting much closer. So after driving it, I think this car makes sense for someone who wants an electric SUV but still wants that Toyota feeling. Reliable, simple, family-friendly, comfortable, not too complicated. Would you buy this? Would you choose the Toyota bZ4X over a Tesla Model Y, Hyundai Ioniq 5, or Kia EV6? Be honest in the comments, because I know some of you are already fighting in your head. And if you want more real car reviews, EV tests, and honest driving impressions,